So today I'll be sharing this book about the Cherokee Indians written by Bill Lund. It's a beautifully illustrated book that I got at the library, so anyone can get it. It's some fast facts about the Cherokee. So a few things that are included in this book are maps, Cherokee women and chiefs, their way of life, information about the Trail of Tears, baskets weaving, even shamanism. So here we have a beautiful illustrated map with Canada, USA, and Mexico. Today, many Cherokee Indians live like most other North Americans. In the past, they practiced a very different way of life. Their food, their homes, and their clothes help make them special. These facts tell about how the Cherokee lived. The food mostly that they had grown was corn, squash, and beans. They hunted deer, elk, and fox. The places they lived were round houses made of wood. Mostly the wood was covered with plaster or mud or grass. For their clothing, the men wore breechcloth. This was a piece of deer skin. It passed between their legs and it was tied with a belt. For their language, the language that they had spoken was Cherokee language, and I know today a lot of people are making sure that this language stays alive. Past locations were covered parts of Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, West Virginia, Alabama, Arkansas, and current locations today are mostly North Carolina and Oklahoma. Many live in the U.S. cities, so special events that they hold are feasts, dances. These are honored by different things such as green, corn, harvest, and strawberry. The Cherokee Nation today. It's one of the largest Indian nations. A nation is a group of people. These people have the same language and government. Nearly 60,000 Cherokees live in the U.S. Many North American Indian groups live together as a nation, and sometimes they live on a reservation. The Cherokee Nation is different. It's split into two. Most Cherokees live in northeastern Oklahoma. They live and work as part of their communities, and some Cherokees live in the North Carolina area. Cherokee people live and work in the modern world, but they also try to remember their old way of life. They still practice their own languages and they follow their belief systems. In the past, Cherokees lived in villages. The most important building was the council house. The council house was actually in the center of the village. The roof was made of tree bark, and inside of the houses, they were decorated by very colorful rugs and baskets. Each home had a fire burning in the center. Smoke escaped through a hole in the roof, and women cooked meals over the fire. Corn was popular. It was made into corn mush. This was like soup. Deer, rabbits, and turkeys were also part of their food. And in the past, the Cherokees lived in villages. As for the Cherokee women, one notable woman is Chief, this is her name is Wilma. She had felt very thankful because she actually made it to be a chief, which wasn't very common for women, especially women today. I know she's a modern day hero. She did pass away in 2010. Women have always had an important place in Cherokee life, but today their place is more important than it ever has been. In the past, the women were warriors too. A warrior is a brave fighter. Women warriors were called pretty women of war. Today, women are leaders in the Cherokee Nation. Her name is Wilma Mankiller. Cherokee Nation, when she became the chief, was, I believe, 1985. She was the first woman to hold that office, which is pretty exceptional. The Cherokee Nation is divided into 7 clans. The clans are large family groups. Each person is a member of a clan, and clan membership comes from the mother. Each child becomes a member of the mother's clan. Things changed when the Cherokee went to war. Then another chief and his men took charge. Cherokee made peace. The wartime chief would stop ruling. The Cherokee Nation was ruled mostly in the same way. It had a chief and a council. They made important decisions for Cherokee Nation. Here you can see headrests with an animal there. Shamans. Cherokee religion honored things in nature, and long ago, Cherokees believed that objects in nature had spirits. They often prayed to the spirits for strength and help. Some Cherokees still have these beliefs. Shamans knew special prayers and songs. They knew how to heal people. Cherokees respected shamans. People went to the shaman for help. It says here, sometimes Cherokees would actually wear the animal skins for totems. The Cherokee used to live in eastern North America, but today, as we said, most of them do live in Oklahoma. They moved to Oklahoma on the Trail of Tears. The U.S. government wanted the Cherokee lands in the east. They actually passed the Indian Removal Act in 1830. This allowed the government to force the Indians from their lands. President Andrew Jackson used the U.S. Army and captured all the Indians that he could find. They were forced to move to Oklahoma. Most Cherokees had to walk the entire distance. So right here you can see the Trail of Tears. This is Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and it shows you water route here, this water, and then the land route, yellow. They started here and they moved west and ended up here in Oklahoma. Baskets and jars. Cherokees created many objects of art. They made things for decoration. They also made things to help with daily jobs. They used plants and vines to make baskets. Many of their baskets have fancy designs. Cherokees even made pots, jars, even bowls from clay. Cherokee men were skilled at carving. They made wood into shapes and designs. They carved canoes, pipes, and tools. And many Cherokee men and women and children create art even to this day. Cherokees have special stories. They're called legends. Sometimes these stories explain things that happen in nature. This Cherokee story explains how the earth began. Once the world was all water. Animals and people lived in the world above. It was very crowded in the world above, so Water Beetle decided to see what he could. Water Beetle went down into the water and he swam all around. He divided to the bottom and the top. He saw mud down on the bottom and he grabbed some in his mouth. Water Beetle swam to the top of the water. He spit the mud out of his mouth. The mud made an island. The island began to grow and he named this the earth. The animals and people waited for the earth to dry. Then they left the crowded world above. They moved to earth. So one thing I do like about this book is they have hands-on, play hoop and pole. The natives had lots of neat games and different things that they used to do. Playing hoop and pole was popular among Cherokee men and boys. This game helped improve their throwing skills. So for this, all you would need is a hula hoop, one large stick per player. First, you choose a person to roll the hula hoop. Second, While the hoop is rolling, you try and throw the stick through the hoop. You roll the hoop 5 times, and the person with the most throws wins that game. So in the back of this book here, they have really neat bits of information, internet websites, which I did check out. And if you have time, check them out. This is from the library.